once again. Welcome back, guys. We just finished episode 2 of Severance. Episode 2 of season 2, I should say. And we have some thoughts. I have a little recap for you. So I'm going to try to do that in 3 minutes or less. I'm going to do my best. If I have verbal dyslexia, I apologize in advance. That's just
I believe in you.
Thanks, Rob. Somebody believes in me. All right, let's break down this week's episode of Severance titled Goodbye, Miss Selvig. So we pick up with the Audis waking up after their Innie's takeover. Helly is on stage, but quickly exits, where she meets her father, who insults her before leaving. He calls her a fetid muppet, which I find hilarious and kind of means insolent child. She later offers Miss Selvig her job back, along with an apology and a promotion, but Selvig counters by asking to run the severed floor, a job that is currently held by Mykah. Helly begins damage control and recording a press statement dismissing her any actions as a drunken joke. Meanwhile, Mykah fires Irving and Dylan for workplace violence, basically. Dylan's Audi also faces discrimination during a job interview for revealing he was severed. Irving attempts to reach out to Bert with the number his Innie left him, but he loses the nerve. However, Bert happens to be watching him secretly in his car a few paces back. Mark deals with confusion and emotional turmoil. At a family gathering, his "she's alive" comment sparks debate. Could it be about the baby or about Gemma? Mykah comes by to confront him, reminding him of his reasons for severing, including that Gemma's death and his inability to cope with that were a big part of it. Despite resistance, Mykah offers Mark a raise and wellness checks, and that ends up convincing him to return to Lumen, along with, of course, the emotional appeal of, listen, you're happier when you don't know about your wife's death. Next, at Lumen, Mark has a plea to reinstate his friends. That is granted by the board. Mykah personally invites Irving and Dylan back with fruit baskets. Mark, Helly, and the team reunite, but Helly seems a little uneasy. And then outside, as Mark is coming back to work, he notices the old Mark that he used to work with, well, as of lately, is protesting being fired from Lumen. Since the original gang is back, I guess they were like, bye. The episode ends with Mark confronting Miss Selvig near her home. He demands answers about what she knows about him, particularly about Gemma. She panics and kind of has like a little minty bee and starts honking her horn and screaming until Mark moves and the conflict is kind of left unresolved and the screen fades to black. I don't know how long that was, but I think I might have got it under the 3-minute mark.
I'll set a timer whenever.
Somebody let me know. Somebody let me know. But yeah, that's where we're at. So I don't know. First thoughts, Rob. Did I miss anything big?
Not that I can think of. Let me look through my notes. They're not near as long as they were on the last episode.
That's good.
No, there were just a couple things that I had, but I guess we can hit those whenever we get to them.
Yeah.
But no, I think that was great. That was a great recap, and I think we should definitely do that for each episode. So you should stay on that because you did a great job.
Thanks. I did my best.
Except for the original 7 minutes that we had to
that was
take
long.
down to
it had
3.
lots of funny stuff in it, though. I swear.
Maybe we'll record it and post it as like a special video.
I don't see that happening.
Why? You can just sit there and just record it.
Oh, like on my own time. Okay. I thought you meant tonight. I'm like,
no,
Lord,
no.
do you really want to subject yourself to that? Because I'll have to restart like 12 times.
No, but I do want to hear it, though.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I can do that. I'm cool with
Sweet.
that.
All right, this is all you. What do you got?
Next thoughts. I mean, I was happy that we got to see the Audis again. I'm glad that it picked up exactly where it left off. That's kind of what episode 2 is what I expected for episode 1, but I'm glad they did it this way.
Yeah, it was all the Audis this time.
Yeah. I mean, I did think it was interesting that Mark's sister is suddenly excited about the fact that Gemma could be alive, or he thinks she's alive. Like, she was so anti-Severance in the first season, so that was interesting to me. I guess, I don't know. It almost made me suspicious of her. I'm like, why is she, like...
Really?
I mean, I don't really think she has anything to do with that, but I'm like, why...
Well,
why didn't she dismiss it as much as her husband did? Her husband, who has a silly name, Henrik?
Rickon.
Isn't that the son, one of the sons from Game of Thrones? Rickon
Stark, yeah.
Rickon Stark, yeah. I also loved the fact and I'm being sarcastic here, that he was like, oh my god, your outie or your innie was inspired by my book, so he like decided to like he made it about him somehow, because it's just so clearly that he's that guy, that he's like, it's me, hi, I'm the reason for everything, it's me.
Thanks, Taylor Swift.
Yep.
Yeah, he did have a reading party of his own book at his house.
Right. So I guess in context, I'll cut him some slack, but come on, dude. Come on. Like, this is a crazy thing that just happened.
Right.
And he's not even focused on the fact that he was like, she's alive! And he's holding his wedding picture when he says that, by the way. It's him and Gemma.
Right.
Presumably the day they got married. And he's looking at that, and they're like, oh, maybe it's just about the baby. Like,
you know what's crazy? Yeah, I was going to say, what's crazy is whenever they started talking about that, about it potentially him saying she's alive being about the baby, that never occurred to me. The whole entire
No, I didn't. Until they said that, I didn't
until they said it. And I was like,
who is alive?
It could have been the baby.
Yeah, because the baby was missing last episode. She ended up being in the office.
Right.
And but she's alive. Why would she not be alive? Even if she was missing, that feels a bit like, if I found my child and they'd been missing for less than 5 minutes, I wouldn't be like, she's alive. Like, it just feels a bit melodramatic.
You're like, there you are.
And it's not even his child. It's just his niece.
Well, I mean, if my niece went missing, I would kind of lose it too.
I know, I'm kidding, but yeah. Yeah, the reaction was too, and he's holding that picture. It's like,
yeah, with our context clues, we're like, he's obviously talking about Gemma.
Yeah.
But we know more than Devin does.
Yeah.
So
I now understand, now that I'm kind of thinking about it a little bit more, why Devin is getting more involved, because she wants to know what's going on. Why would he have said that? You know, like, what on earth?
Well, also, like, whenever they were in the diner a little bit later, she does say, she's like, it affected me too. Like,
yeah.
Like if my brother's wife were to die, like, we're not like the closest in the world, but like, she's my brother's wife and my niece and nephew's mother. So, like, if she died, it would affect you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So especially for like the turmoil that my brother and then his kids would be going through, but it's like, yeah. So that's why she's involved. And I was gonna save this for a little bit later, but I think you were right in the last episode where you said Mark is a butthole.
In real life,
his outie.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk.
Gosh, dude.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk. But he's also hardened by trauma, and people respond differently to trauma. Some people literally, their brain makes them kind of become a jerk. And I think that's sort of just what happened with him. And clearly he doesn't want to think about Gemma. He almost...
Well, that's why
it's kind of like an alternative to it's almost like an alternative to becoming an alcoholic, where you can get a blackout and forget everything.
But he's doing both.
But
he's doubling down.
So he's doing both. He couldn't have just he should just, I don't know, maybe he should be permanently severed and just forget his life, and he'd be better off. I don't know.
He just wants to be like, the way he is written, it feels like it feels like it's real. Like if somebody were to have that happen to them, and they have the severance option available, and they're still the other 16 hours of the day, if whatever, if they're not sleeping or whatever, but they're gonna be thinking about that person. So it's like
it would almost make the grieving process slower, though, because half the day that you would normally be grieving, you're not grieving. You're not typically diving back into work and distracting yourself. So you're only existing when it's just you and your free time to mull over and relive. So
we're thinking about this logically without being in the trauma. So
sure.
Yeah. So whenever he's in the trauma, he's like, I don't care, whatever it takes to get the pain to go away.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Right. It's why alcoholics do what they do too, right?
Yeah.
And other people that abuse drugs, it's usually it's escapism.
Or abuse whatever. In my instance, it's food and whatever. Yeah. So it gets kind of deep. Like, we like to keep Just Play Nonsense a little like fun and playful, but when you're talking
Severance
about something
is not the show that you can do that with.
Right. Well, we have gone deep, like on some of our podcasts and stuff that get a little bit. So it is we can basically tackle whatever topics we want. But whenever you're talking about this kind of trauma, and again, I'm very, very naive when it comes to this kind of stuff, because I don't know a whole lot about how to deal with trauma and what other people go through and stuff like that. So I try to be as empathetic as possible, because I genuinely don't know why and how some people react the way they do. But
Until you're in that situation,
right.
It's, yeah,
right.
can't really blame them.
Right.
So I do think it's good, and it's very caring of Devin that she does become more invested. I think she kind of does it despite knowing his feelings sometimes.
Right.
She ends up sending him a text saying, "Hey, I'll buy you a crappy diner dinner," and he goes to meet her, and she kind of just immediately blazes in with, "What could that have meant?" And he's like, "Listen, man, I'm traumatized. I saw her body. I know she's dead. Was the person that confirmed she was dead. She's dead. I don't know why I would have said that." But Devin still, just like I would, I think, wants to know what on earth he could have been talking about.
It may not be for, I mean, it might be for her, a little bit, but it's also for him too, because I've done this where I'm like, if I see somebody needs help, and they're like, hurting themselves.
Yeah.
I'm going to, if we're close enough, I'm going to step in and be like, hey, like if we have that kind of relationship, I'll be like, hey, this is what I see happening. Let's talk about what's going on. I want to make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
So if my brother were doing the same thing as Devin does to her brother, I would be like, let's talk about this. Because it's been, how long has it been since Gemma died? Do we know?
Over 2 years.
Yeah. So,
Longer
I mean,
than
I'm not.
Been at Lumen.
Right. And I'm not saying he should be over it, but like, he should have been able to grieve some and like, at least be able to talk about it.
Yeah. But also being severed, like I said, it takes away some of that time.
Right.
That, again, we talked about the physiological, I think is what we call it, impact. Yeah. That would take longer when you're severed, because half the day you're basically a newborn baby that remembers nothing but life of working at Lumen and the people there.
You don't know the sky or the wind that breathes on you or whatever.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was definitely a big takeaway.
Right.
Also, the fact that Helly is so in charge of this project. I mean, I know that she is filming the documentary as kind of like the main subject, but her being able to go to Milchek and saying, "Hey, fire everybody that was involved in this," basically.
I didn't realize she had that kind of power.
Exactly. It made me think, she's a little more, she's pulling more strings than we realized. It makes me
wonder if she's the one, like at some places, like especially with us for Just Play Nonsense and things like that. Like if you have an idea and you're like, "Hey, I want to do this," I'm like, "Cool, you run with it. Do whatever you need to do to make it happen." So I wonder if that could be how that happens there, where whoever's in like the real big in charge people. I wonder if she came to them and was like, "Hey, I want to do publicity about what's going on down in the any world." And I wonder if they were like, "Sure, go run with it."
But still, even if that was the case, she wouldn't be the people firing the head.
She could be
head chick in charge. I wouldn't think, unless she already kind of had a role like that. But I don't know. We're gonna find out. So it's interesting. I also thought her conversation with Miss Selvig, Miss Colbert, whichever name you prefer, was interesting, and how eerie Miss Selvig is. She's like, you didn't fire me to fire me or because of insolence or something like that. You fired me because you fear me. Like she thinks she's the big bad wolf, and
then she's like, "We fear no one."
Yeah, we fear no one. Just to remind you. I'll be interested to see if she ends up taking that offer.
Right. So I have a question about. There was one thing I put in my notes about this part, because you're talking about when they're talking at that really long conference table, right? And then Drummond is sitting at the end.
Yes.
So Harmony says, I like picking up on these little things. Harmony says we need to monitor the feed.
Yes.
Is she talking about like the security feed, or is there like some kind of feed that goes on with their chips maybe? Like,
I have no idea. I immediately digested it as needs to be somebody like eyes on them, everything they're saying and doing 24/7. Because maybe that wasn't the case, and they watched the footage later, like the footage of Helly and Mark, their innies kissing, which Helly seems to be Helena, I should say, because it's her outie.
Right.
She watches that footage back, I think, after the scene, and she kind of like, her breath gets caught in her throat, and she appears to be having like some kind of emotional human reaction to what she's seen.
I'm still on team. She is gonna use Mark. Like, she's looking at it as a way to use him.
Yeah.
I want her.
But she seemed to be like, she could have be like, almost having sympathy for her, Annie, or like, I don't know, there was some kind of touch of humanity there, I felt like, in her reaction. Maybe she was even jealous, like, I would like to experience love. I'm a cold corporate whatever words that I can't say. I just play nonsense.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
This is Ben Stiller messing with us again.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's, or whoever, Dan Erickson, all them, the way they wrote it. It's, it just eats at me because I'm like, it looks like she's being human, but then I'm like, I feel like just something inside is like, it's still that, like, she's tricking us.
Yeah. Yeah. Could be very
That's
true.
how I feel about that. Okay. So I wanted to go back to whenever Devin and Rickon and Mark were in the house talking right before Milchick shows up. I have in my notes, I have Kobelvig.
Kobelvig, yeah.
and then
that's
a couple laughing faces.
Sure. Yeah.
I want to get a shirt that just says #Kobelvig.
Kobelvig. Not a fan of her, though. She creeps me out. And she's clearly losing it, but we'll go more into that at the end.
Yeah, so then Milchick shows up, and he's trying to get... this is the point where he tries to get Mark to come back.
Yes.
The first time. And then you can tell by the way that Devin looks at Milchick, she's like, I do not like you.
Yeah.
Like, the look that she gives him was just like so
Well,
dirty.
Milchick's creepy. I mean, the way he talks is so robotic. Like, I could believe that he was controlled by an AI or something, that he's not actually human. Like,
right? He's just emotionless.
Weird. A little too chill. A little too happy about everything. Everything's okay. Clearly things are not okay.
I wonder if his chip has been completely refined and they're controlling his emotions, and now he's like...
He's just 100% regulated. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have like... there's no fear. Fear's been taken out. Happiness has been taken out. All that stuff, and it's only like just like a blank slate.
Who wants a waffle party? Woohoo! That's the epitome of bliss, right? As a waffle party at your workplace.
Yeah, that was the... Well, I mean... Watching that in season 1 with my parents was weird. It was so weird.
Wait, why?
Remember they all come out like in lingerie and they're dancing around with Dylan on the bed?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't expect that to be what a waffle party was.
Yeah, no, I didn't either. No.
But one thing I did notice, and I want to say this is later on the second time, whenever Milchick came to Mark's actual house, he ended up telling Mark that Dylan held the switches for 39 minutes.
Yes.
Like, because he said the Audis were out there.
Right?
39, I mean, that's... Can you imagine holding this for 39 minutes?
Out in the room,
Yeah, and if you remember, he had to stretch.
Yeah.
Like, he's not just with his arms out. Like, he's literally stretched as far as he possibly could go.
Yeah. I mean,
can you imagine
Dylan doesn't look like the average
minutes?
Person that would be able to do that. That seems like some Ninja Warrior level stuff.
Right.
So I wasn't impressed that it was 39 minutes.
I think that's a determination of like how...
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
That just shows that he cares about the other people, too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he was like,
and then
we need as much time as we can get.
There was something that Milchick said that I was like, I wanted to punch him in his face. Because this, I can't... I know it's a show, but I'm like legitimately angry about it because people actually do stuff like this, and it makes me so angry. He says, "I'd hate to reward his courage with non-existence."
Yes, I actually wrote that in my recap, and it didn't get included. Like
talking about Mark's innie, and it's such a manipulation.
Oh yeah.
That like, I was like, it made me like viscerally angry. I'm like, I cannot stand.
He doesn't know any better. He doesn't know any better.
I can't stand people like that.
Yeah. But, I mean, Milchick is going to do whatever he has to do. And that's not what eventually convinces Mark anyways. So it's like, yeah, you tried. Like, listen, I'm a stone cold alcoholic. I'm extremely, like, that's not, my emotional appeal for myself is low.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with everything you said. And yeah, it definitely says something about Dylan. Dylan is just likable. He goes on this job interview and he meets his doppelganger.
With his clone, yeah.
Yeah. And he we learn that has been passionate about doors since he was 5. He has like a favorite texture and style.
I feel like he was just making that up to get the job.
Which is, if he, I couldn't tell you that much about doors on the spot. So if so, bravo to him. And then the second it comes up that he worked at Lumen and was severed, the guy's basically like, "You're an abomination. Get out of my office."
So something just hit me with that whole thing. When for several reasons, it's all like coming flooding in. So this may be a little scattered. But
okay, that's okay.
whenever you go to, whenever you're writing a show, this is a little bit meta, but then I'll get into it. Whenever you're writing a show or a movie, you don't include anything that doesn't move the plot forward.
Yes.
So, the fact that Dylan needs to get a job, no.
Well, he's supporting children.
Right.
We don't know if his wife works. She might not.
Right, but in the grand scheme of the show,
that
doesn't really matter. Like, yes, in the real world, you have to take care of your family. In the show,
you're wondering why they showed that?
I don't. No, I'm going to get to my thought, my theories.
Yeah.
With that kind of thing, you don't really write that into the show unless there's definitely a need for it.
Oh yeah.
So my thought is, and this just hit me with whatever you were just talking about, is since they're doppelgangers, what if they took Dylan's stuff from his chip and created this guy, and Dylan really does love doors, so the dude loves doors. Dylan, he looks just like Dylan. They were so similar and they really liked each other. The jokes were the same. Like, what if, because like Lumen, the houses are half empty. The building is half empty.
Yeah.
What if they're like creating a workforce based on these clones maybe, or whatever they're doing? That's an
idea. I don't get that sense. I think that scene served to move the plot forward more from the case of to show how easily severed people could be discriminated against. That a lot of people are just not for this.
Okay, I can see that. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Yeah, we love overthinking. Like, I actually found out. So last episode I mentioned the fact that I think Mrs. Huang could be the daughter of or the clone of Gemma.
Right.
And other people apparently picked up on that. I watched another, like, group of people's recap.
Did they watch our video and then get it?
I don't know. I can't even remember who's. No, well, theirs came out first.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, definitely not. But it's a thought that a lot of other people had that I was like, oh, sweet. I'm not just like completely off the rocker. I'll be interested to read what people thought about this one.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of Dylan and the job interview, I was really not happy with the way he answered the phone with his wife. Oh, yeah. He was kind of... He's like, read the room. If I didn't answer the phone, it means it didn't go well. And I'm like,
that's
down,
not a good
bro.
Communication skill.
Right.
Like, you have to communicate. Hey, it didn't go well. Can we talk later? It's like,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think he's
I still love Dylan.
Yeah. I think he's just human. Like a... He feels like such a young person. I mean, he looks like he's in his 40s, but he feels like somebody in his early 20s. Like, he's really silly.
That sounds like me.
Yeah.
I'm a clone of Dylan.
Yeah. And he's still learning some emotional regulation skills. Maybe he got married young, has a few kids. He's now suddenly having to provide, and not only provide, but provide on his own time. He doesn't get to be severed anymore. Go to sleep essentially when he goes to work. I mean, that'd be a big transition for me. I know when I didn't work for like 2 months at one point, and going back to work, that was an adjustment. So I can't imagine however long he's been at Lumen.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, didn't love it, but also he can't be perfect, right? We can't love him too much. He has to be human, so.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And who's your favorite character in the show? I've got mine right off the bat.
Oh, I haven't thought about it enough. I'll answer by next episode. How about that?
Okay. Well, mine is Devin.
Devin, the sister, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I feel like she's so real and methodical and logical about everything, and I'm like, that's my girl.
Yeah, I like Devin. I think she's a good sister. I
she's
think
playful,
everybody's
too.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody is well fleshed out and only becoming more fleshed out. So it's great writing. It's definitely an understanding of people. So
Right.
yeah, we'll see where are we at next on our major hitters from this episode. You think?
At the diner, whenever Mark and Devin are talking, Drummond is listening in. Mm-hmm. He's just hanging out in another booth. So they have somebody following them. So now everybody knows that Mark is looking for Miss Casey.
Yeah. And that Devin's pressing him to do so.
Right.
So don't take out Devin. It wouldn't shock me if you did. She just had a baby, please.
If this turns into Game of Thrones where they start offing main characters, I'm like, come on.
Yeah, we'll see that for sure. I think that I was just thinking of is one of the major thoughts I had afterwards is why did they want Mark to come back so much but not everybody else? Like, what is it about Mark? Why is Mark so special?
I think it's more about I think it's his relationship with Miss Casey. Because they made a point to mention that he needs to finish Cold Harbor. That's why they needed to bring him back.
Right.
And Cold Harbor, as we saw in the last episode, has something to do with Miss Casey.
It has to be him. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's because he was married to her or because of the trauma that he has suffered. Right. And maybe they're trying to see how well the connection between innies and outies works. Because the only thing that he has with her that nobody else does is that he knew her on the outside. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, as far as I know, nobody else knows her.
Right, yeah.
So it could be the fact that she died and they want to see how he handles it. Mm-hmm. Or if they want to see if you're really, really completely severed, if there's no crossover, to see if he even recognizes her in the least. Because if you notice, if you remember in season 1, anytime they sent Mark to the wellness center, Harmony, Miss Cobell, was really interested in it. Mm-hmm. She was watching it like a hawk.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going with that either. Yeah. That's why I'm so glad he finally found her outside of her house.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it had to cut to black, and I'm like, come on.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That whole interaction was interesting. The board, decides to give Mark what he wants. Right. They bring Helly and everybody back. Right. Helly's the only one that seemed remotely nervous to return. Everybody else was like, "Ooh, yeah," which again kind of feeds. But I also think both her innie and outie would be nervous to go back. So I still don't know again if we're really looking at Helliar
or Helena, right?
Or Helena. So
yeah, because that one shot that they did where Dylan came in and then a minute later Irving and then a minute later Helly / Helena. Mm-hmm. She looked like Helly. Mm-hmm. And I was waiting for whenever the camera cut back to her for the guard to not scan her.
I thought that as well. I was like, let's see if she gets the pat down or whatever.
But he just scanned her back.
Okay.
He just scanned her back though. Okay. He didn't go as deep as he did everybody else.
Did it really? Okay.
Yeah, he just did her back and that was it.
Gotcha.
So I'm still on the side that is Helena in there.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to be wrong.
I know, I do too, because I want to see Helly. I feel bad that she's kind of just in limbo right now, potentially.
Right. So yeah, it's a toss-up for me between Helly and Devin.
Yeah.
Who are my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Helena, as of right now, no.
Yeah. What a major, big ol' jerk. I can't use them.
Nice.
Yeah. She just,
Are you saying that
because
Are you saying that because I censored all the stuff in the last one?
Well, yeah, I don't want to make you censor me as much as you normally have to.
I just think it's funny.
Yeah, yeah, she's kind of the worst.
Right.
Yeah. Not insolent. What does it say? Fetid muppet. I'm gonna start using that on people. Don't be such a fetid muppet. Just think, be like, what?
That'll mess with some people. They'll be like, what did she call me?
All right, we're kind of nearing the end of the episode. So at the end, Mark is coming home from work that Monday that everybody returns, everybody being his old coworkers. Right. And he finally sees Miss Selvig leaving her house, and he's like, oh, finally, I wanted to confront you, because what the heck, you're over here, you're in my innies world, you're in my outies world, what's going on? And she just acts almost like a cartoon villain, and is like, I see you returned to to Lumen and just kind of gets
Right.
into her car and tries to drive off. And he's like, no, ma'am, absolutely not. Steps in front of her car, is like, what the hell? What do you want from me? Like, he's taking it very personally, as he should,
Right.
because what the heck? Like, are you obsessed with me? Why are you so obsessed with me?
Do you want to be a throuple?
Yeah, right. Ooh. That's almost kind of what it feels like. Yeah, it's weird. And then she kind of takes it, and then she just, like,
Well, not
slams
yet, because he
Asks
says,
about Gemma.
what do you know about Gemma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He asks about Gemma.
And then, then she freaks out on the horn. So I was waiting for us to get to this, because, like, I literally jumped in my seat when she started
really?
doing that. It scared the crap out of me.
She's so cool as a cucumber, and then she's just like, just fully, just right in the face.
I was like, I
Yeah.
did not expect that outburst. It's like that. If somebody's like, hey, does Severance have jump scares? I'll be like, there's at least one.
yeah. I literally, like, she's having a BF was like my note, like a bitch fit.
You did say a
and
minty
drives
bee.
away. A minty bee, that's what I said. She has a little bit of a minty bee, and drives away, and the scene cuts, and hopefully, I don't think we're gonna find out what happens next episode. I think we're gonna go back into the E world, so we're not gonna see any of that.
Yeah, it could be.
But my predictions are I'm expecting to see some stuff from her POV. I think that's gonna be next episode. Miss Selvig.
Well,
potentially.
So, the first 2 episodes, the titles have been about her.
Right. Yeah.
So can they have another one about her?
Right.
Is that fair?
Yes, they've been about her, but the episode hasn't been really about her. We still don't have a lot of like alone time with Miss Selvig, so
I was curious about that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, what do you think's coming next?
Honestly, so I usually don't try to predict stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm kind of a loss for this one.
Yeah.
Because I feel like everything that I had questions for was all wrapped up.
I know, thank God, right? I was like, I'm so glad they addressed some of this stuff. Like, what actually happened? We know they didn't make change. Come on, like.
Right.
This isn't a happy show.
Everything is just straight lies and manipulation.
All right, I think that's all we have for you. Please let us know your thoughts, any other questions you had about the episode that maybe we didn't answer that we could answer, thoughts you had that we didn't think of. Please share in the comments, or just if you know me personally, just text me. I'll probably respond. I'll probably respond within 24 business hours. I'm pretty good about that, right, Rob?
No, comment. Yeah, you're pretty good about that. But no, we need people to comment for.
Go comment for engagement. That's right.
Yeah.
What kind of want to be YouTuber am I?
What kind of
Comment for engagement. Please let us know. Yeah, like, and if you just like seeing our faces, let us know. You know, we're happy to be here. Happy Severance Saturday, because this will probably technically go out on Saturday. That's what we'll call it, Severance Saturday.
I like that.
Cool. All right, but as always, folks, try to enjoy each episode equally. Thanks for watching.
I like that.
Yeah. Cool beans.
Okay, bye.
Bye.